This is the Aftermarket Radio Network.
Welcome to another episode of Speak Up Effective Communication, your place for focusing on elevating our communication skills in the auto repair industry. I'm your host, Craig O'Neill, and in our episode today, we're talking about family business dynamics with Maryann Croce, fellow Toastmaster at Remarkable Results Toastmasters, fellow transmission repair professional, and friend who knows the good but understands the struggle so often associated with when you combine, family, business. Thanks for joining us, Maryann.
Thank you for having me, Craig. I'm really glad to be here.
So glad to have you here. And today's word of the day, nepotism. We're going to define that word for you after we hear a brief word from our sponsors who make this show possible. Looking to take your shop to the next level of quality service, team culture, and overall profitability? At the Institute, we provide personalized coaching that aligns with your goals of financial stability, excellent customer service, and employee satisfaction. Our priority is helping you establish significant and sustainable progress. We work with you to create strategies that reduce the stress of running your business, improve your quality and performance, and optimize your profitability. Experience the benefits of professional coaching by visiting wearetheinstitute.com/business-assessment. Hey friends, as you know, I'm a proud member of the AutoFlow team, and let me tell you, we've changed how business is done for auto shops everywhere. We support your client experience before, during, and after the work is done. Imagine this. Timely updates sent directly to your clients, branded digital vehicle inspections, and seamless communication from start to finish. That's why shops love AutoFlow. And hey, with those 5-star reviews rolling in, you'll wonder how you ever managed without us. Take an important next step and take your auto shop to the next level. Visit www.autoflow.com. Get on board with an AutoFlow trial. Are you ready to meet your perfect auto repair shop management software partner? Well, say farewell to the days of transactional relationships and hello to a true partnership that elevates your business. The #1 all-in-one solution is AutoLeap. You're not just getting software, you're gaining a dedicated ally committed to your success. AutoLeap will help you sell more, save time, and delight your customers at every turn. From scheduling appointments to creating estimates, generating invoices, managing technicians, and seamlessly syncing with QuickBooks to keep your records updated. Experience the difference a true partnership makes. Visit AutoLeap.com and book a demo today. AutoLeap, your trusted partner for success. Want to see your auto repair shop thrive? Are you looking to drive more customers to your auto repair shop? Let ShopDog Marketing be your guide. Our customer-first approach, combined with AI-driven creative content, ensures top rankings. Dominate mobile-first and voice search with our specialized expertise. Reach out to ShopDog Marketing today and start growing your business. Don't miss out on this chance to boost your business. Visit shopdogmarketing.com. Inbound has exclusively served independent auto repair shops with expert communication solutions for years. Our robust VoIP platform ensures you stay connected while our industry-leading AI analytics take your business to the next level. We provide the tools you need to understand your customers and optimize every interaction. Choose Inbound for proven expertise and unmatched innovation. Visit callinbound.com and discover the difference we can make. Okay, we're back. We have Maryann Croce with us today. Our word of the day, which we agreed on at the beginning of this conversation. I talked about.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, let's have the guest pick the word of the day is kind of the new thing I want to make sure we do. And I offered the one I had, and we agreed this was the word for this conversation. So nepotism, as I understand it, and as it's defined, it's a noun. It's the practice among those with power and influence of favoring relatives, friends, or associates, especially by giving them jobs. Applies in our industry, doesn't it? A lot of family businesses out there.
A lot of family businesses. Absolutely. Yeah. It's so common that you see families working together.
Yeah. Oh, and Maryann, just to preface this. I feel like you're the right person to have this conversation with. I've been looking for a way to have this conversation. I have some very strong feelings about the family business, some very great experiences, and some not so very great experiences. And it's a difficult topic to broach. Many of my relatives who I had both great and not so great experiences with still alive and much loved. We get along great, especially now that we don't work together on a daily basis. But it's a tough conversation sometimes to have because of that love and respect that we have for those closest to us. Is that something you see a lot of?
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that I see that's most common, especially in this industry because I'm in it, but I see this outside the industry as well. When an owner is thinking of taking on a family member, there is so much pride, there is so much excitement because a lot of
Yeah.
times a family member knows the history of the business. But
Mm-hmm.
what they don't realize is when they do that, is that how they treat that family member is really going to make an impact on not only that family member's relationship, but also if you have non-family members in the business,
Mm-hmm.
that could affect them as well. And it could affect how everyone else looks at them, your vendors, your customers, your suppliers. So, one quick thing that I'll share is, and it's hard, it's really difficult for people to do this in the beginning. So, they have to practice it. Let's use a son or a daughter coming into
Mm-hmm.
the business. Instead of saying, "This is my son," "This is my daughter,"
Mm-hmm.
introduce them as Tom, as Sarah, introduce them that way. It doesn't mean that it's a secret. It's okay if people know, but there's an air of professionalism there when you're
Oh,
introducing someone that way. Because a lot of times, if you introduce someone as a family member, a son or a daughter, and you say it with pride, there's no ill will, there's nothing,
correct.
no intention that's negative in any way. But they feel like it diminishes everything that they're gonna do.
Yeah. So you were talking about this. You gave this speech in the Remarkable Results Toastmasters. You gave a 5 to 7 minute speech on this, and you were hitting on that point in that speech. And that's when I was starting to, okay, we need to have Maryann on here to talk about this because we did this sometimes very well, and we did this sometimes not so well in our family business. I saw the results of this. I habitually, very early on, referred to my dad as Ted when I'm speaking to clients and would shift gears into that. And he's dad to everyone else that's closer to us, our staff, friends, and family, sometimes still referring to him by his first name with our staff as well. And I always had the sense that this was honoring the professionalism, not diminishing the fact that I'm not proud that he's not my dad or anything like that. I'm not calling him dad. I don't call him his first name in any other setting.
Mhm.
But
Exactly.
it worked out really well, I felt like, until some customers who, of course, recognizing similar last names, like, is that your dad or your brother? That's fine. It was a good question. This is my dad, of course. Yeah, that's how we refer to each other. No problem. Do some people have a problem with this? Is it awkward for others? It didn't feel awkward to me.
Yeah, I think that in the beginning, it is awkward for
Mm,
some family members to make that shift and say, "Okay, at work, we're gonna be on a first name basis,"
mm,
and for it's a habit that you have to get used to, and you'll catch yourself. But the idea is once you realize that it's credibility for both people, and it's
mm,
also it helps with non-family members that may be team members in your business. It
mm,
really does help because now you're looking at the value that people bring, and you're not putting that son or daughter or family member title on it, where people can feel, even if there isn't a sense of nepotism, they may feel like there is because, wow, if
mhm,
you're introducing me this way to people, what will they think?
mhm.
There's that assumption that could be made. Oh, Sarah just has that job because of her last name. So you want to stay away from that. I grew up in a family business. Both sides of my family, my parents were family businesses. So I grew up and I understood that. And me, even though I do coaching now and speaking, I still own a transmission shop, as you were referring to, and I have
Yes.
family working in the transmission shop. So it's something that I'm very aware of, and it's something that I see and talk to business owners a lot about.
I love that about it. And so, of course, another reason I love having Maryann here, as I mentioned earlier, transmission shop experience. With it, it's a subset in this industry.
Yep.
Within itself, it has different and unique challenges that a lot of auto repair shops will face as well. But there's other pressures and there's other areas of complexity that I think are very unique to the transmission field or any other shop that has a very specific specialty. So I was curious though, Maryann, of the family that's working in your shop, how many family members do you have currently working in the business?
So right now we have a total of 5 family members out of
Wow.
9 people.
Wow. That's really great. I think, right?
Yes, it is.
I believe it. Because you've taken the steps and you've really, I feel like you've made a study of some of the things that need to be discussed because you get to do coaching out there. You get to see all kinds of other examples, good, bad, and improving or worsening, even in some cases. I was thinking as you're talking about even this simple thing, which is a great tip and a great takeaway already for people, is using that first name strategy. But that's a conversation within family that should be had. Like, here's what we're going to do, and here's why. Is that conversation taking place out
Oh,
there?
yeah. It's definitely taking place on a regular basis in my shop and also when I talk with clients, when I talk with other shop owners, when I'm at a conference, definitely having those conversations. What I find happens is when the 3 questions that I tell shop owners, any type of business owners to really consider when they're thinking of bringing a family member on,
Mm.
it's important to ask these questions of yourself before you do this. And the first one is, does this family member have the personality and the skills for the job?
Yeah, a logical first question.
It's
Yeah.
something that you sit there and you say to yourself, like an example, if they're going to be working in a front-facing, customer-facing role, such as a service advisor in our industry or customer
Yeah,
service, they need to be
exactly.
personable, professional. They have to be great with people, good communicator. The real question is, would another company hire them for that same role?
So this would be question number 2. Okay. Yeah.
That's actually one, right? That's
This is
actually
all
the
part of
first
number
one.
1?
It's all
Okay.
right. That's the real question that we're
Got it.
really getting down to
Oh,
the
yeah, because
nitty-gritty
that
here,
solves it.
right?
Yeah, because does this member have the skills and the personality? And the way that you can ask that question, it makes more sense that this is very good, is would another company hire that person for the role? That's really, really good.
Because there we're avoiding that nepotism.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, that charge of nepotism anyway, that's undoubtedly going to come.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if the answer is no, if another company wouldn't hire them, then what we want to do is we don't want to let these family ties cloud our judgment. So
Mhm.
that's what brings us a little bit of clarity around that.
Yeah, a little different from my case because we were raised around the shop all the time, started sweeping the floors, and that we had those skills locked in thanks to being taught a lot of floor sweeping time. And would another hire? I don't know, but then it evolved.
If the answer is, you know what, another company would hire them. So question number
Mhm.
1 is great. That's a yes then in your case
Good.
because you grew up in it and you had the skill set.
Yeah.
The next question would be have an owner ask themselves, are you aware that this may not be their dream?
Mm.
Meaning they may be there for a while, but just because it's your business doesn't mean it's their passion. It's not necessarily
Mhm.
their dream. So you don't want to force them or make them feel obligated in some way.
Ah, there it is. That's a good word to bring on. An obligation is real, even if it's not intended to be given. I felt it when I left the family business back in 2017. The thing that I had to defeat was that sense of obligation. That was very, very difficult. I felt like I'm letting dad down or the family down by moving on into other areas. And it's a terrible thing to have to be confronted with.
And it's not done intentionally. I
Mm-mm,
know that
not
a
at all.
lot of times what I see is a lot of pride when a
Yes.
family member is coming in. So they don't even realize. That's why I put these 3 questions together, because the thing here is if they are out of guilt or
Mhm.
pressure, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well for them or for the business itself.
Hmm. Guilt, pressure, or convenience, or fallback.
Exactly. All of
Hmm.
those things come up. Yes.
Hmm.
I see that. It's very, very common.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a security element. The family business is there. It's always been there. It was there through my childhood. It was there through my entry into adulthood as I was getting married. And it was a logical choice to go and apply the skills that I had acquired through the youth and go straight into that. And I'm glad I did in my case. But for some people, it may not be there. And it wasn't my dream. It wasn't.
Right.
Yeah. I wanted to be a mission pilot or a history teacher. One of those two things.
There you go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everyone has to find their own way, to your point,
Yeah.
and be
Nice.
happy with that path. And the
Mm.
third question is, are you willing to listen to their ideas? And that kind of seems
Ooh.
obvious, but it's hard sometimes because, again, going back to that pride thing, I'm bringing them up the ranks in the family business. One of the biggest mistakes that I see shop owners make when they're working with family is when they get stuck in that "I've always done it this way" mindset. I'm going to
Oh,
teach you the ropes. I'm going to
yes.
show you the way, that type of thing. And I learned this very recently. I have a little bit of another take on this as well, because when you're dealing with a family member, a parent, and they're teaching their children, taking them on into the business, it's hard for a lot of parents to have their children tell them a different way,
Oh,
or this
yeah.
is outdated, or we need to modernize, or do things differently. And I've experienced this, talked to family members about this, even with an elderly parent. When they get older, people will tell you in the healthcare space, will say, if you have to make changes with your parent because now you're their caretaker, it's very difficult for your parent to listen to you, because in their mind, you're still their child. Even
Yeah.
though you're successful in your job, your career, the
Mhm.
business, whatever it is, they have a hard time. And they'll say, refer them to someone that they respect, maybe a doctor, a pastor,
Ooh.
something like that. Who do they respect and admire? And have the message come through them. As simple as, maybe they can no longer drive the car. That's
Oh,
very
yeah.
hard for people to hear from their children, because in their mind, wait a minute, I'm the parent, I raised you.
Yeah.
And this can carry over. They don't have to be elderly, but that's where it comes from.
That's
When
nice.
that idea, that's why they don't mean it, but it can come across that way. So they have to be, put yourself in check. You have to be open-minded to listen to their ideas. That's
Yeah.
really important. Just as you would listen to a coach, a mentor, someone else in the industry, another team member that you say, wow, this person's really coming up with good ideas that are great for the business. You want to treat that family member the same way and keep an
Yeah.
open mind.
Yeah, it's really fascinating because as an adult, of course, I have my son, he's turning 20 this year, and I'm starting to see the other side of all of this and see the reflection of myself in my son as he wants to prove himself and his inputs as valid, and probably sees me and my wife multiple times as being stuck in our ways. Fortunately, we're not in the business together, but I remember being young, wishing they would listen to my ideas, wishing they'd listen to my ideas, wishing they'd listen to my ideas. Not as carefully was I considering their thoughts and feelings about why they are doing things the way they've always done things, and how that business, especially for my grandfather, because me and my brother, we were third generation. That was his baby. And anytime we were suggesting a change, it was almost offensive to him. I understand this now, but a change, something that we thought should be done different, felt to him, no matter how we presented it, as critique. And I probably didn't present it well. I wasn't studying communication to the depth I have in the last few years back in those days. I wish I had. But there's multiple feelings that you're dealing with anytime there's change. And I think that you agree with this. One of the defining elements that I've always heard with family businesses is that every disagreement is passionate.
Well, there's a lot of emotion because you have a lot of history.
Yes.
So there's that emotion that just kind of is part of it.
Yeah.
You don't have the history with a lot of the other team members that aren't family. So we have to keep that in check
Hmm.
and make sure when we turn around and we say we have relatives that treat us a different way and we joke around about it. But
Yes.
yeah, we joke around like an aunt or an uncle that treats you like you're a little kid and we kind of laugh at it. In their eyes, you're always going to be a child. But when it comes to this, we just have to keep that in check. I think it's really important to understand that. Years ago, you just reminded me of something. Years ago, I was invited to do a podcast with someone who was outside of the automotive industry. She was a local podcaster and she was talking about family businesses. At the time, she wanted both of us to come on. So I had myself and my daughter come on, and she had been working with us for a few years. And we didn't talk to each other. We wanted to keep it real and raw before we got on. And when I listened to the replay, I was amazed because what I wasn't aware of was some of the things that she was talking about. She saw the work ethic, the dedication that went into the business as a child, and she valued that. And she wanted to continue that, but she wanted to bring her ideas to the table.
Yeah.
She
Yep.
said they built something. This is something that they've built. And she was in awe about what was built. And I never heard that from her. I
Hmm.
never realized that. And that was an eye opener for children that are coming into the business. We kind of take for granted because they've always been in it, they've always seen it,
Yes.
they've always been around it. But that was something that I learned that day.
Me and my brother, I feel like we had this too, where we saw, like, my grandpa, the story of the origin of the shop. He was one in three people in Grand Rapids who knew how to rebuild an automatic transmission way back in the day. And so he started the business and became successful and all the things and like all the hard work that went in. There wasn't a lift in the shop in those days. He jacked up all the cars, all that grit and all that hard work and all the risk that he took in order to build what became the thing that supported many generations of our family for so long. It was something that we wanted to bring forward and continue to do. Now, granted, we still are, but in a weird way, we've moved on into other parts of the industry. But there was pride in that element. And you mentioned that word earlier when you were speaking on your question number 3 there. But I don't know. I feel like sometimes, do you see it where the family business, their own pride of the original founders gets in the way of letting that next generation take the baton?
Yeah, yes, I do. When pride turns into ego,
Hmm.
then it's a difficult situation. And that's where when I talk to shop owners and I ask people about, so what do you think about family working together? Some people will say yes, some
Yeah, some
people
people
will say
chuckle
hell
nervously.
no. Hell no. There's no
Yeah.
way. And that's the reason why a lot of times it is that a wall will go up because pride is not a bad thing. It is a good thing. But when it gets to the point where it becomes ego,
Mhm.
that's when it becomes really dangerous, right? It,
Yeah,
it can hurt relationships. It could hurt the business. People can step away and still have a relationship, but not in the work environment.
yeah, yeah, and that was probably one of the harder things in our family business. Grandpa openly would tell people he regretted selling the business to my dad. It's a condemnation in those sort of scenarios, and that's a frustrating thing to hear. And then he would tell things to me and my brother that would be like, "It's always the third generation that kills the family business." It's like, okay.
Well, when you speak about that and you talk about he regretted selling it or
Yeah.
regretted that, a lot of times people have a hard time letting go.
Mhm.
They
Exactly how we
they don't know
interpret it.
what their role is. What am I going to do in the future? This is what I've
Exactly.
done for so long. It becomes their identity.
Yeah, it does. So what does their role become, Marianne? What is it you encourage those that are letting go to do?
So I encourage the ones that are letting go is start letting go slowly. Don't
Mm.
just decide that one day you're going to have the family come in and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to step away. You have to do it gradually. It's just as much for you as it is for them. Go into more of a coaching mode, be a leader, be a mentor. Let them know the reasons why things were done this way. Things
Mhm.
have to change. I mean, we've seen the technology, we've seen so many things happen in the 25 years that my husband and I have owned our business, that even your processes, your systems have to evolve and change over time. So it's important to let people know the reason why you were doing that, and then let them give their input, because something may not work anymore just because of the way things have changed over the years.
That's the thing is going back to Grandpa's not so nice quote. Most family businesses do fail in the third generation, but when you
Mm.
look at the reasons for that, any business model that has existed for 3 generations is very likely outmoded or outpaced by newer businesses that serve that same market. The technologies, the processes, anything, the building, for Pete's sake. It was one of
Exactly.
our frustrations all the time. We stayed in that building that was never built for what we did, even 5 years after Grandpa bought it.
So the key for this is collaboration and communication.
Yes.
Because if there was collaboration between not just the family members, but all of the team members, if there was collaboration and people felt like their thoughts, their views were appreciated and valued, let's try that idea out. If
Yeah.
we have to, we'll tweak it, but let's give it a shot and see. So the
Mm.
idea there is now you would have third generations that would probably be in a better, healthier, maybe is a better word to use, a healthier state, a
Yeah.
healthier condition to be able to continue.
That's good. So, Maryann, Chris recommended a book years ago here at the AutoFlow team. It's Change or Die was the title of the book by Ellen Deutschman. And then we still reference it when we talk on our courses on change management. There's 3 keys to effective change in that book. Very simple, very accessible read, very much recommended. But those 3 keys are relate, repeat, reframe. And the relate key, I always thought was very interesting as I was reading this book, is like it suggests new emotional relationships in order to affect a change. And family is anything but a new emotional relationship. We did not have a coach until the very end, and it was only me working with Bob Green. My dad wouldn't engage him. My brother was already out of the business, and there was just me trying to get more engagement with the ideas that I was generating through a good friend, the dearly departed Bob Greenwood, who's a wonderful coach and influence in my life, helped me make the decision eventually that it was a healthy choice to leave the family business in my particular case. But I always think, like, what if years before the whole family had been engaging with that coach or a small group? Is this something that you have found helps other family businesses?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's to have that third party come
Mm,
in and be able to listen, hear what's going on, and give you guidance, kind of walk you through it, be objective because they don't
mhm,
have that emotional attachment.
exactly.
That is so key. That is so important because a lot of times what happens is when we get emotional, we're no longer thinking logically.
No, no, it's
And
true.
we may say things that we really shouldn't say
Yeah,
or
and
may
this is the
regret
thing.
later on.
All decisions, I believe, are made at an emotional level for all human behavior. If anything is true, it is the fact that we are, in fact, not fact based people. We're not rational, we're rationalizing all the time. And so these new relationships, I think that for me, if when I look back, if I had wanted to stay in that course, what would have had to happen is 5 years earlier, the whole family agree we're going to bring this person in and they're going to help us out. And it would have been a dynamic difference.
Another thing that I think a third party can help with is just looking at what are the roles in your shop.
Hmm.
What are the roles in your business? And what are those? Are those clearly defined? Do they have job descriptions? This is what this person's going to do. Really clear.
Yes.
Because now we know how to rate ourselves, assess ourselves. Are we doing a good job? And this is both for family members and non-family member team,
Yeah.
team members. If those clearly define, and that's something that is a common issue because an owner will say, well, everybody kind of knows what they're supposed to do. So this is
Oh,
good
yes.
advice. This is good advice. Well, I've been doing it this way for so long. Don't people just know that's the way it's supposed to be done? But those really clearly defined job descriptions, what are the responsibilities, all of that, who do they answer to, who do they report to? Those types of things are very, very important. Not to even mention here, like that it brings value to your business as well.
Yes. Yes. But there's also roles that the ego pulls you to. In our business, transmission shop, we want to be the rebuilder. That's the guy. They know everything. They're the ones that call the shots. They're the prima donna transmission rebuilder, as they say so often. I grew up hearing that term, by the way. It's not a nice term, technically.
No, it's
No,
not.
at all. But that was always the phrase I heard it. And I don't think I heard the phrase rebuilder without the prefix prima donna in front of it for years. But that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to do the role that got the most respect in the business. And that's an ego drive there. And for me, it was a harder decision initially to put myself into the more needed positions at the time of the shop. It was purely need based that I made multiple choices at multiple times. Like, where are we needing the help? And I would pour myself into those roles, R&R, removal, replacement of the transmissions, and then eventually found my true passion and satisfaction in the front office role and the communication role.
You had a skill then at that time, which you still have today, but you were developing that skill of being flexible and adaptable.
Yeah, and that's how I always viewed it. I just went where it was needed. And I think a lot of people enjoy that. But then you're a jack of all, master of none, is what it feels like. And then you're wearing multiple hats because you can do all those jobs they'll ask you. They don't
Exactly.
define your role at all. And those were the hardest things. The joke I make nowadays is I quit wearing multiple hats and grew my hair out instead. And that was really important because working as the technician, wiping my hands off to go answer the phone or deal with the customer that's walking in the door. And then at the end of the week, being able to go in the back office, write out checks and handle payroll and all the other things, like those are multiple roles that become stress. And we haven't talked about it as much yet, but a word on the stress that comes into family business. Some of the stress isn't just family dynamics. It's what you just mentioned there. We haven't defined those roles, and then the roles begin to define you. And it's scope creep is the term I would use. Like, all of a sudden, the scope of what your activities need to do has expanded so much. You don't even know what you're supposed to be doing any minute of the day.
Right. And you're running around and putting out fires, very common. One day you could be in one role, the next day you could be in another role.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to take advantage of family members as well.
That's what I wanted to say. So do you see this happening? Because it happens in all shops. Owners are used to being the guy. Do family businesses do this more often in your perspective?
Yes, in my perspective, they do. I saw it in the construction industry. I see it in a lot of small businesses that family members are involved in. It's a given. It's assumed that the family member is just going to pitch in. Well, I thought you would, or I thought you wouldn't mind, is what I hear people tell me. And to your point, they want to get proficient at something. They want to develop the skills for a role. Maybe they have a favorite role that really fits them, and they're all over the place. The other thing that happens is you can make mistakes. And we can see this, a very easy explanation is in any type of automotive repair shop. You wouldn't want to keep pulling a technician off of a job and give them another job, Or
Mhm.
can you drive Mrs. Smith home? Oh, could you stop what you're doing and check out this vehicle? Oh, we don't have a driver for parts. The parts supplier, can you go and get the part? The
Yeah.
more times you do that, you're going to end up with mistakes. And here's the reason why. When we pull someone away from what they're doing, there's been studies done. When you come back to what you were doing, it
Hmm.
takes you some time to be able to say, where did I leave off?
I've heard as long as 20 minutes.
Where was I? Yes, to be able to, and there's a name for that. It's called context switching.
Ooh, I like
So
this.
you were doing this, you took me out of that context, put me into something else, and now I have to go back again.
Yes.
So if you do that multiple times, think of how much time you
Mhm.
lose during the course of a day. For
Yeah.
me personally, I experienced it. I'm not technical, but I experienced it in my shop when I would go to do any type of statements because I handle all the financials. And then I would get pulled away because somebody would ask a question,
Yeah.
or somebody forgot to tell me that they weren't at the front counter and the phone was ringing. And I went to, answer the phone and put that hat on. And
Hmm.
I'd go back and go, where was I? And now I'm working with numbers.
Yeah.
So it
Yep.
was very difficult. I thought,
Oh.
why is it taking me an hour and a half to balance this
No.
statement where it would only take me about 20
Yes.
minutes or
So
25 minutes?
this
And
is a
so I'm
universal.
laughing at myself, but I was frustrated
Oh,
at the time.
frustration. That's the normal reaction that people should have to that context switching. And so that's as you mentioned this term, I thought, all right, so everybody feels this once they get over one of those
Everybody
roles.
feels it.
In a family dynamic, there's another context switching that occurs. And this was profound. And some days, me and my family, we were absolutely fried with each other. We've been disagreeing on things. There's yelling and shouting, and we're mad. And then we shut the door of that shop. All right, bye. Love you. And it's just like that. Or sometimes it was see you later tonight or see you tomorrow for the holiday dinner. And we had just had this intensity of emotion, stress and frustration and all the things. And then that context switch just in the blink, we have to try to go into family mode. But here's the really weird thing, Maryann. We were good at it.
You're good at it.
We were good at it. Like, and the way that like we got to the family, like it's still there. It's probably ridiculously unhealthy. If there's anyone in a psychology realm that's listening to this, or they're thinking like, you weren't good at it. But we could function anyways. High functioning dysfunction, I guess. I don't know. But that's something that I thought was one of the most frustrating things over time because I get home and I'll be having this conversation with my wife in a future podcast too. There's a toll it takes on our spouses because there are things about our frustrations that we bring in during the day with family members who we both love dearly that I'm carrying with me that I can't share
Absolutely.
at home without it perhaps snowballing into more things.
Yes, it
Ooh,
does. That's exactly what I was going to touch on when you were saying that was you may say goodbye, love you, I'll see you
mhm.
tomorrow or whatever to the
Yeah,
family member because now you're leaving work, but now you go home to your own family
yeah,
and they get the brunt of it. Because even though you're not intentionally going to talk about it or you believe
or
it's
you
going to
try to shove it
escalate,
off.
you
Yeah,
try to. But a
yeah,
lot of times what will happen is when you walk into the house, your loved ones can tell.
hmm
Did you have a good day today? Wow, you're just or was something off? Like,
yeah,
what happened? And
yeah,
the same thing happens when you go to work. Family members or non-family members, you can tell when a team member is just off, when something's
yes,
not right. Maybe there's something going on at home. So it shows. We try to
mhm,
compartmentalize, but it shows. And our loved ones are the first ones to pick up on it.
yeah,
And that's exactly what happens. And that could cause stress at home because
yeah,
that you're in your own family, a person in their own family now senses it, feels it. And
hmm
now do they go into, okay, it's okay, I'll listen, you can vent, or do they try to go into fix it mode? It can cause all kinds of stress in
hmm
relationships as well.
Maryann, I can tell you work with people on this all the time with Small Biz Vantage and your role there. Your presentation, the one we heard a blip about from our Toastmasters Club, when are you going to be presenting next?
So I am going to be presenting in April at Amplify.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to be in that. Yeah, that's on the 11th in April.
That's with AutoLeap, right?
Yes, with AutoLeap.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Sponsor this
that's the
show.
next
Yep.
time I'm going to be presenting.
Wonderful. So people can tune in and hear you there. I think they absolutely should. There's so much more to unpack on this topic. Is there any points that we haven't mentioned that you would like to get in?
I think we did cover a lot.
Yes. And yeah, every one of these things, there's probably a whole topic to have on context switching, but healthy.
I think the only thing that I could add that I would say is important is we touched on it a little bit, but conflict resolution.
Oh, Maryann, we need to do this. Yeah. Conflict resolution is tough. Like saying sorry, for one, very hard. I watch siblings, just siblings, especially in a sibling relationship in a family business. Never mind the up and down with grandpa and dad, right? Siblings.
Exactly.
They squabble. We squabble as adults sometimes. It's funny now that we don't work with each other every day.
And then you have family members who are not in the business, right? And how
Yes.
do they react to the family members that are in
Yeah.
the business? There's all of that as well.
All of it.
So there's a lot to it. And I've heard
Hmm.
so many in this industry, right? Auto shop owners, clients, I've heard so many stories over the years of all the different dynamics that go on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's plenty of dynamics, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
So
Well,
so when you think about it, and I ask people, what do you think about, working with family? There are people that will say, yes, it works, and they chuckle. They'll say it's not perfect. I don't sit here, as we're chatting through all of this and say that every day is perfect. We go through family dynamics too. I mean,
yeah.
we're all human.
Yes.
So there's no such thing as perfection. But
No.
I think it's a work in progress, and the main thing is to focus on, does everyone in the business feel supported, valued? Do they feel heard? Do they know that they're appreciated? Because everyone has something to bring to the table. And if
Yeah.
you're open-minded enough to that, I think that it would help owners a lot. It would help them immensely when
Oh,
it
yeah.
comes to stepping back.
Yeah. I think you're spot on, Maryann. And the thing with family is that we take liberties in communication so much, and that's not right. It's not fair. It's
Mhm.
not good to do this, but I've seen it before where we treat people better when they're not family members. The joke we always have, we see a sign for a family business in town, a restaurant or something. It's like, we treat our customers like family. And I think, oh, that sounds terrible. Joking, of course. But that's the thing is like we get comfortable and we sometimes don't put the effort into our communication the same way we should. And we absolutely should be doing that because these are the relationships that ought to matter more than anything else. They have your back when you need it. It's
Absolutely.
supported, valued, and heard.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't want to take advantage of the situation either where you start bending the rules, knowing that you're family, right? Because that's where
Mhm.
that nepotism comes in. Would somebody be let go for the same exact thing, but
Yep.
you're still here and you have a job?
Yeah.
So there's that side of it too. So
Yep. Oh, yeah. So much of that. And yet there's so much pressure that we put on other family members that we would never put on another employee that could turn them into an employee we don't want.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it can go all around. I'll wrap up with this. Is there a situation you've ever seen, Maryann, where you've had to coach individuals to leave a family business situation?
They were in a situation where they left a family business,
Mm.
but they did change their role.
Mm.
They did change their role. Similar to
Okay.
what you were saying, you had a role in mind or something that you
Yeah.
did and you said, "This is it. This is
Yep.
where I feel my skills, I enjoy it, everything's gonna align."
Yeah.
And that was a hard thing for them to have to speak to the owner, who was a family member, about, because they
Yeah.
didn't want to do what they came in to the
Hmm.
business doing. And the other
Interesting.
thing that's common is someone who is going to stay there for a certain amount of time, but they know that this isn't their dream. So eventually they are going to leave, but they looked at it where this was an opportunity to build my skills.
Yeah.
And I did bring a lot to the table. I feel good. I left them in a good place, or I'm leaving them in a good place in the future. They're still there. They haven't left, but they're
Correct.
building up their skill sets, and the goal
Yeah.
is to leave the business in a good place.
Correct. And that's a mature way of looking at it too, because there's a lot of people that the family business is a great stepping stone. It's great if the family can structure a business to do that. And you shouldn't feel bad or obligated if you don't stay, but it needs to be done in such a way that you are adding value the entire time in order
Mhm.
for it to be a healthy relationship. Very good. Oh,
Couldn't agree
man.
more.
Yeah, and Maryann, I just think this is so good because communication plays such a huge role in this. There's probably a lot more to unpack on strategies to communicate better with family members. I think that'll be the same strategies we would use to apply to anyone else. My recommendation is for anyone to read Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and start learning how to apply those same things with the people you love the most. That Dale Carnegie quote I love more than anything else is, there's no such thing as a neutral exchange. You always leave someone a little bit better or a little bit worse in every interaction. And that's true with family too.
Absolutely.
Nice. Oh, Maryann, I really hope people can tune in and listen to you at Amplify. That's exciting. ASTA, any of these other ones coming up in the fall as well?
Yeah, there's going to be some more coming up. I do some webinars for ASA.
Great.
There's another one in April. And yeah, I'll be at different events that are coming up. I'm going to be at Tools in the fall. There's more events coming up as well. So
Awesome. Oh, be sure to
the
say hi to
calendar
Brandon.
books up quickly, right?
It does. Fall
You
season
know
gets
how it
very
is.
busy. Yep. Say hi to Brandon for us. He'll be representing at Tools. That'll be great.
Great.
And looking forward to ASTA as well. But yeah, lots of good stuff coming in October. Maryann, if people have questions for you, what's the best way to reach out?
The best way to reach out to me is at smallbizvantage.com.
Smallbizvantage.com. Very good. All right, Maryann. Well, thank you so much. And thank you all for listening to this conversation. I hope to do this again, Maryann. This is a lot of fun for me.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Just beautiful. Reach out to us here at the show too, folks. Speak up at CraigO'Neill.net. That's speak up at Craig, CraigO'Neill, 2 L's in O'Neill, as Grandpa always said, because there's no shame in the family history. But hey, we appreciate hearing from you folks, and anything that's interesting to you, any topics that help, or just feedback on any conversations that you heard. And please don't forget to listen to the other shows on the Aftermarket Radio Network. We have Carm Capriato's Remarkable Results Radio, the show that started it all. We have Matt Fonslow's Diagnosing the Aftermarket A through Z. I'm sure there's an F for family business in there, and that show too. I'll have to see if Matt's done something with that topic already or not. Then Business by the Numbers with Hunt Demarest. The financial side of things can be fun. Hunt makes it so. The Auto Repair Marketing Podcast with Brian and Kim Walker, industry power couple. As I love to say, they are fantastic folks. And the Weekly Blitz with Coach Chris Cotton. Once again, thanks to all of our sponsors here that make this show possible. Thank you for joining us. Now get out there, listen up before you speak up, and live up to those expectations with family, right?
Yes,
Enjoy
absolutely.
them. Thanks, everyone.
You've been listening to Speak Up, Effective Communication with Craig O'Neill on the Aftermarket Radio Network. Follow Craig on your favorite podcast listening app and on his YouTube channel. Let him know what you'd like him to speak up about. Craig is all for advancing the automotive service aftermarket.